Hola, hola, and welcome to the Whole Damn Vibe podcast. This is your host, Steph Wharton. You get to enter your speaker era, prioritize sustainable marketing and visibility strategies, all so that you can embrace a life that is a whole damn vibe. For today's episode, I feel like it's been the last 2 to 3 episodes have been like a running sequence where I just feel so inspired. And what I wanted to share with you today is how you get to launch your program beyond social media, beyond Instagram in particular. And I'll give you some context first because I know that these couple episodes feel a little similar. It's almost like we're on a thread of a similar slash same topic, and we just keep diving deeper and deeper and deeper as to what it gets to look like to market and sell and bring in more sales into your business, either without launching or using different marketing strategies, or in this case, launching but without social media. And the reason that this is very much top of mind for me right now is that as I'm recording this, we're at the very beginning of the month in February 2025. And I spent all of last month preparing for and then launching the Visibility Tour Challenge, the fourth live cohort. So basically, my brain has been thinking launch, 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 market, market, sell, sell, which brings me to all these ideas and behind the scenes stories and examples and almost like case studies that I want to share with you, especially if you're in a season of business where you want to increase your revenue and you want to be more visible, but you want to make sure that you're doing this, that you're marketing, that you are signing clients in ways that feel sustainable, that feel fun, and that maybe are different to what you're doing now. Or perhaps they're the same, but there's a couple little tweaks that you can do in your overall strategy and the tools that you're using. So behind the scenes, if we look at the launch that I did last month for Visibility Tour, historically, so this is the fourth launch, right? Historically, the last three launches, I always prioritized social media. So I was promoting every single day on Instagram. I was on stories, creating content, sharing pre-batch slides. Most of the time, honestly, I was coming up with content on the fly. So I would allow myself to just be inspired in the moment, and whatever came top of mind, especially for the first, if not also second launch, I would just write it on the spot, create a little graphic based on a template that I had ready and share it. And I did that every single day for a launch. Roughly, I would dedicate 1 to 2 weeks to the pre-launch for each of those launches. And then 1 week was dedicated for the public launch itself, where I finally invited folks to join and enroll inside of the challenge. Now, for the fourth launch, one thing that I really wanted to play around with was, what if I don't use social media? As you've heard me say before, I don't have the capacity right now. I'm a new mama. I want to spend more time with my son than online marketing and creating content. I mean, I still want to be on social media because I love the relationships that I get to build on there. I love sharing more about what I'm doing with my life and how I'm having fun and making new memories. But when it comes to actively marketing, I want to do the bare minimum and then allow other marketing channels to do the heavy lifting, as well as public speaking and other visibility tools that I'm using currently in my business. So this really felt like an opportunity to challenge myself and to experiment. And I think what's really cool is allowing yourself to experiment and to do things differently every single time you launch a program, because I get the concept of doing, let's say, going through a launch, marketing an offer, doing it once, and then the second time trying again, refining, learning from what worked, what didn't work, what could use a little bit of tweaking, what you could do entirely different. Like, that's amazing to be able to learn from past experiences and then do the thing again and again and again and again. But what we can enter is almost this crutch where if you did it one specific way, let's say using Instagram, and you had a specific launch strategy, let's say you had a lead magnet. So you had the lead magnet and then you sold through email and social media, and that was your strategy, right? Like overall high level. Well, you could feel stuck because every time you relaunch and you go through the sequence, you do the same strategy, you just refine it and make it better and better and better. So now you would hope that if you're doing the same thing and you're doing it better every single time, then the results in terms of the revenue coming in for that launch would be better and better and better. And that's really freaking cool. But what happens if you just don't want to launch that way anymore? Then it almost feels like you're starting from scratch. Like everything could fall apart and you could fail. And instead of it getting better and increasing your revenue further every single time, all of a sudden there's the possibility that you're going to make less sales and your revenue is going to take a dip because you try something completely new. But what if that's not a bad thing? What if you get to experiment every single time you launch? Maybe at the beginning, you're a little bit more consistent to really figure out what works best for you. But down the line, what if literally every launch is slightly different? One time you do a lead magnet, the other one time you do a wait list, the next time you do nothing, you just sell actively for a specific period of time. And that gets to be really freaking cool because now it's not about a specific strategy. It's more about you. It's about your message. It's about the offer itself. But how you sell it doesn't freaking matter. And that's what I've really been leaning into right now, where it's like, what if I allow myself to believe that I get to sell in whatever way I want and there's no wrong way of doing this, which means the options are unlimited. I get to literally do whatever I want every single time. And for this round, what I wanted to do this past January is experiment with using email marketing as my main marketing platform for this launch. I had done the launch in the past, like I said, 3 times. And each time signed a different number of clients. Some were like mind blowing, some were really freaking cool, but less. And it just fluctuates, right? And that's part of life. It's part of running a business. So I wanted to see, like, I wonder how it will, on one hand, affect the results in terms of sales. And 2, I wonder how it will affect my mindset, if I will still add a lot of pressure, perhaps spiral while I'm launching, whatever. And how will it affect my life, right? Will it be truly sustainable if I don't have to show up online every single day? So that was kind of the 3 metrics that I was looking at as I was embracing this experiment. Now, let's see how I actually did it. I feel like I've been doing this a lot lately where I make a couple notes in a little notebook, just bullet points, a couple words here and there to make sure that I touch on everything because this shit matters. I find that it's not common to get like a real behind the scenes of what it looks like to run a business, to launch different offers, to leverage different strategies and get creative with things because typically either you have a business bestie who you hang out with all the time and they tell you everything. They give you all the hot tea, the hot tea, the juice, the juicy tea. I don't even know what the right saying is. It doesn't matter. They spill the tea. There you go. They spill the tea on everything that they're doing. They're very raw, vulnerable, honest, on the good stuff, the bad stuff, all of it, right? Or perhaps you have a mentor or a coach and somebody basically that you're paying, that's supporting you, that's there to guide you along, to hold space for you, perhaps to even teach you certain things. And that person, when you ask them questions, they can, again, spill the tea and show you a little bit of what it looks like behind the scenes. But unless you're investing or you have that business bestie that's doing something that you're curious about, a lot of us don't have that opportunity to get a real look behind the scenes of somebody else's business and learn, okay, well, what are my possibilities? Like, what are the options? How can I do this differently than what I'm doing right now? And perhaps discover something that feels so much better and is fun and brings about even greater results. So I hope that by sharing some of this behind the scenes with you today and through other episodes that I'm able to do a little bit of that to share with you what you might be missing, right? Not in terms of, hey, you're doing the wrong strategy or you're doing things wrong in general, but missing in terms of what becomes possible, what tactics you could use yourself to, what possibilities you can open yourself up to in terms of how it is that you run your business and how you launch group programs or any offer within your business. So how I did it. The first thing that I did in order to prepare for the Visibility Tour launch, the 4th live cohort, is I worked on the sales page. I already had a sales page, but if I'm being perfectly honest, it was very basic, bare bones. And I didn't go ahead and create a very extensive and almost overwhelming sales page. No, I still kept it simple, but I wanted to make sure that it was more clear on what the focus would be for this offer. I wanted to be really clear on the deliverables, what was included, what folks could actually expect once they were inside. And I wanted to also include some social proof so folks could see what other people's experience had been inside of the program, what results they had gotten, and overall what the vibe is, as well as getting a little peek as to what kind of people are inside the program. So I went ahead and I revamped the entire sales page to include all of these things. And that actually laid down a very solid foundation for the rest of my marketing. Because as I did my sales page, and disclaimer, I don't always, when I have a sales page for a program, I don't always prepare slash update or write the copy for it first. Sometimes I actually start creating the content first or anything that I might want to prepare in advance. And then maybe halfway through the launch, I'll go ahead and craft an entire sales page if I'm feeling inspired. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. But for this round, this launch, it actually really helped me because in part, since it was the fourth time launching this program, I felt very good. I felt really confident with my message. I had refined it a little bit and it just felt so punchy. Like I kept talking about the fact that Visibility Tour allows you to embrace public speaking and that it gets to be this whole thing where for 30 days you build a brand as a speaker and you pitch and you attract speaking engagements through your content. And essentially the essence of it overall is that you get to automate your visibility through public speaking. And I'm like, this is so freaking awesome. I was 150% behind this message. And the fact that I had it all together with all these different marketing slash selling angles when it comes to the social proof, what's included, the message itself, the transformation, all those things, like who the program was good for. I already had this bucket, if you will, or the sales page where I got to take inspiration from it and then create more marketing content from that. So having that foundation, what I moved on to is I actually went ahead and repurposed old podcast episodes that already either shared stuff about Visibility Tour or had things that helped educate around public speaking and pitching and booking speaking engagements and all these things that I really wanted to share more with my community, both new and old. And essentially, it was my thought leadership. It's my opinions on public speaking and on doing it from the lens of booking your own visibility tour so that you have all these opportunities lined up for the foreseeable months. Now, the way that I chose to repurpose is, I don't know if it's very unique or different, but it definitely felt so new and cool and different for me. What I chose to do is I actually used Descript. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it, but it's this software, this app where you can upload a file and it will transcribe the entire thing for you. So I did that first. And then with the transcription, what I ended up doing is I plugged it into an AI tool. And I was very intentional with my prompt slash what I asked the AI tool to do, because I wanted to make sure that the tool could repurpose my words, so the transcription of the podcast episodes, which I think I had like 10 podcast episodes that I repurposed. And I wanted to make sure that it got transcribed slash repurposed into emails and social media caption hooks. So what I could do with all this is use it as a foundation, again, like I'm going to be doing with my sales page in a second when I share that thought process. I could use it as a foundation to then create the emails themselves. It's almost like a bare bones idea of what these emails could look like, what they could focus on. Then the hooks inspired me to come up with other emails and even pieces of content for Instagram. And it just made things so much quicker and easier. And so that y'all know, I've never used AI. I know everybody loves it. They're using it for client work. They're using for behind the scenes. They're using for like business stuff. They are using AI for life stuff, for travel, for just any kind of shortcut that you could possibly take to make your life easier as opposed to spending the time doing it yourself, right? People are loving it. I just never got into it. I didn't know how to use it. I didn't know what to use it for. And again, because I don't have capacity, I didn't want to waste time figuring it out. But this was a moment where I decided I don't want to start this launch seemingly from scratch. And even if I can repurpose podcast episodes, I don't want to have to listen to minutes and hours, like literal hours of episodes just to come up with an idea and then have to still write the idea. So I was very clear and very intentional with my prompt. It was actually the longest prompt I've ever created for anything, where it just guided as if I was sending almost instructions to a VA. And I was like, I need you to grab this. I want you to turn into this, but keep in mind X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And like, it had this laundry list of things that I wanted to keep in mind. And what I loved about this is that a lot of the let's say, concerns that people have about using AI to write content or write anything for your marketing is that it's not authentic. It's not you. It's probably stolen from other stuff that's found online. And that is the opposite of what my prompt was creating for myself, because I was literally asking it to reword/rewrite my words, my podcast episode. So it was literally my intellectual property that was just being rearranged into new content. And I thought that was the coolest thing. It saved me so much time. Actually, in a matter of days, like I want to say, I should check my calendar, but it was probably 2 to 3 days of like heavy work with like AI transcriptions and scheduling stuff and all the things. I was done preparing the entire launch. It was that simple. And then for the rest of the launch, I got to just chill and do literally nothing. I mean, I'll let you know what I was actually doing, but I could technically do nothing because I had just spent a couple intentional days repurposing content, scheduling everything out, and having an entirely, like, let's say 95% of my launch was completely automated, so I didn't have to show up in real time. So that's what I did with repurposing old podcast episodes. Then I went ahead and took that inspiration and crafted a bunch of emails for the span of like 2.5, I believe it was 3 weeks, where I had roughly 3 emails going out every single week, except for the last week, where I had 1 to 2 emails going out every single day. And that was a true launch week where I was like, hey, doors are open, join us. This is what you can expect inside. This is what you look forward to. Here's a sneak peek, all those kind of things, right? And that's when the bulk of the new members enrolled inside Visibility Tour. Now, I'm not done. I did 2 more things before the preparation was all done for this launch. After scheduling emails, technically it was all done, right? Like it could have been done because my priority was to launch a group program beyond Instagram by prioritizing email marketing. So I had done that already. But I decided if I'm done this early and now I've got extra capacity, I've got a little bit more time, let me go above and beyond and create from these hooks an extra piece of content that was really freaking good. It was literally my words just like switched around and like made it a little bit punchier. Let me create a couple of Instagram posts. So I created a couple templates. I think it was just maybe I think it was 2 posts a week that I had prepared instead of what I usually do for a public launch on social media, which is daily content, if not once to twice a day. And so I had 2 posts a week going out. I had some stories lined up, like just a template that was repurposed primarily from my sales page, where it shared all the key details. So I could share that either every day or every other day throughout the launch. So people could really get a sense of what to expect inside and decide if they wanted to join or not. And finally, completely different. This wasn't email marketing. This wasn't going to be Instagram. This is more about collaboration and leaning into my community. So for context, there's well over 50 speakers, 50 clients that have gone through this challenge, that have enrolled in the past through different launches, right? And the running theme, there's 2 things that I see in common with every single round of Visibility Tour that ends up happening is 1, folks who have previously enrolled inside Visibility Tour, they want to do it again. They want to go through the 30-day challenge again with the daily coaching and basically reinforce and reestablish their own brand as a speaker and book more speaking engagements. So there's 1, that interest there where past clients want to return. And 2, I always find that there are, maybe there's 3 items. Two, I was going to say past clients. This doesn't happen as often, but it still happens organically, where they'll be sharing about Visibility Tour, and they'll be sharing their past experience, how they loved it, how it's changed, how they market and how they view visibility and collaborations and speaking. And that's really beautiful for me to see, or for anybody to see, as an educator, as a coach, as a creator, right? Just to see the long lasting impact of that experience that folks had within one of your programs. So then the third thing is that multiple folks joined with their business bestie. So these were people saying, hey, I want to do more public speaking. I want to book more public speaking engagements. I want to enroll in Visibility Tour and get support from Steph. And I want to do it with a friend. So friend, hey, come join me, right? Like, let's do this together. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's co-work and create the content together, like all the things, right? So basically people are referring me, they're referring this program to their best friends. So what I realized, I'm like, okay, people are returning, people are talking about this, and people are referring their friends to it. So what I decided to do was, to every single launch after the first one, is I invite past members and speakers inside of Visibility Tour to act as part of my promotion team, to essentially act as ambassadors for this program. And it's entirely optional. They get to promote in whatever ways they want to. If they want to become an official affiliate partner, they absolutely can. They just have to disclose that. I have an entire affiliate / promo team package for them. And there's some guidelines and suggestions on how they could promote if they so choose. But again, it's entirely optional. They do or they don't. And then they gain access to the challenge, right? To the live round, because otherwise they always have access. They can always do the challenge as many times as they want, whether it's every single month, every other month, twice a year, whatever that might be, right? But this gives them an opportunity to access even more coaching and more support from the community. So that is it. I did for this whole launch, beyond Instagram, or primarily beyond Instagram, I prepared a sales page. I repurposed old podcast content. I scheduled all the emails. Then I did bonus Instagram content, like bare minimum. I did actually share a little bit of behind the scenes of the launch on Threads, so I will note that, but that was just in the moment. Like, if I was working on a Tuesday or a Thursday, which are my typical work days, and I had a little bit of capacity, a little bit of free time and inspiration, I would share a couple things, but otherwise, honestly, I just let it be. And then finally, I had the promo team. So this all allowed me to release a lot of the pressure that I've previously experienced through some of my launches, when I prioritized social media and essentially content creation and marketing every single day for a long period of time. And instead, I got to just chill. I got to relax. I was able to prioritize supporting clients, whether it's not through Visibility Tour, because that's what I was launching, but the mastermind. I got to hang out with my toddler. I got to celebrate as new clients would enroll. And it was just really freaking cool to see. And now what I get to do is decide, okay, well, what parts of this launch, this strategy, do I want to duplicate and do again for the upcoming launch, whenever that will be, sometime later this year? And what things do I want to refine or change or drop or whatever? And I think that's really freaking cool. I get to experiment over and over and over again. And you get to do it too. And I think that if you see a theme within these past couple episodes, I think it should just be that, is to experiment and to learn to trust yourself, your decisions, your strategies, because that's what makes running a business so freaking empowering. The fact that you get to build something from scratch, you get to share your knowledge with people in ways that you came up with, in ways that feel good to you, in ways that are perhaps different from anything you've done before or anything that anybody else has done before. Or it ends up being the same that everybody else is doing, but you chose that strategy, you played around with it, you tried different things and different methods, and then eventually you narrowed down on something that feels really freaking good, and then you commit to that, and then maybe refine with it down the line. But I think what's really important is that when you trust yourself above anything else, to make these decisions, to break the rules and to do things your way, is you get to realize that things can change and you can do it again. And it's not the end of the world when something doesn't work out. It's okay. Sometimes you will use the exact same strategy that brought about incredible results a couple months ago or years ago. You'll do the exact same thing the exact same way, and it won't bring about the same results. but it doesn't mean you failed. It just means there's something that needed adjustment, right? But you get to show up again and again and again in the same way and in different ways. And I think it's a good reminder, as opposed to feeling like we failed and you got to give up. It's like, no, you got this. Go have fun, go experiment, do things different, come up with more sustainable ways to do it so you can prioritize a life first business model and just do it your way, rock it, own it. All right. I'll see you on the next episode.